Hey everyone, and welcome to The Take. I'm Elizabeth Wagmeister.
And I'm Clayton Davidson. We're here to give you our take on some of the week's biggest stories. Today, we have the latest on the Alec Baldwin Rust shooting. Dune is out in theaters. Diversity's coming to Sex and the City. And Katie Couric has a new book.
That's right, and it's all coming up right now. Starting with a major story, the industry continues to grapple with gun safety laws on sets following the tragic death of cinematographer Halyna Hutchins, who was killed on the set of Alec Baldwin's film Rust. Alec Baldwin is the star and a producer on the film, and it was found that he was the one who shot the firearm that killed Halyna. Now, the investigation is still ongoing. There are a lot of details, but Clayton, the latest on this is shocking information. The sheriff held a press conference and said that 500 rounds were found on the set in New Mexico. This included blanks, dummy bullets, and possibly live rounds. Also, according to an affidavit in the case, the assistant director did admit that he should have checked the gun before handing it to Alec Baldwin, who was told that it was a cold gun, meaning that there would not have been a live bullet in it. Now, as I said, the investigation is still ongoing. There are a lot of questions, obviously a lot of details that still need to come out, but my first question in this whole tragedy is, why was there ever even the need for a real gun on this set?
Because this is a common practice. This is something that happens on most sets all across the world when they're filming a movie. And what is baffling about this is this isn't the first time a tragedy like this has occurred. It famously happened in the mid-90s to Brandon Lee. He died on the set of The Crow, and it was horrible. Thought it was going to inflict some change, and it hasn't. But where we are now, we can build the world of Avatar. We can build the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but we can't figure out how to CGI a bullet out of a fake gun. This is a very tragic story and will hopefully lead to more change. A show like The Rookie on ABC has banned guns from the set, and hopefully everyone will follow suit.
We also saw the showrunner of The Boys on Amazon tweet something similar. But again, you are completely right. In the world of Avatar in Hollywood, when quite literally the two biggest movies of all time, Avatar and Avengers, are largely shot in front of a green screen, and those films are making over $1 billion, there's no need to have a real gun. We have movie magic, and the safety of workers on set needs to be first and foremost. Right now, there is a change.org petition with over 70,000 signatures that says that guns should be banned from set. But the other piece that has emerged in this very sad story is that the set appeared to be quite chaotic. The sheriff actually said that there appeared to be some complacency on set, and what that is referring to is a lot of union workers had left the set, walked off before this tragedy, so it appears that there were non-union workers when this happened.
And this brings us full circle now to the IATSE Guild situation that was occurring a few weeks back and threatened a Hollywood strike. This is exactly what they were asking for, basic minimum of safety protocols on sets so they can feel safe and no one has to die on a Hollywood set. This whole thing has blown their negotiations out of proportion now because now they didn't officially sign anything. There's talk that they may walk that back, but more importantly, I want to make a point that the humanity of us, the right-wing reaction to Alec Baldwin shooting someone on set was grotesque, and I think something needs to occur where we can start respecting one another again, because it was gross what was happening on social media that day.
Absolutely. I mean, there are shirts right now being sold that says guns don't kill people, Alec Baldwin does. We would need a whole hour of The Take to get into all those implications, but I agree with you. A life was lost, and that's what we need to focus on, is remembering Halyna Hutchins, a mother, a wife, and a rising star who was beloved in the industry.
Absolutely, Elizabeth. And to switch gears now, Dune, Denis Villeneuve's science fiction adaptation, has finally hit theaters, doing a very respectable $40 million at the box office, which has now paved the way for Warner Brothers to greenlight Dune Part 2, coming to theaters in 2023. It made the internet very happy. There's no official announcement on casting, but Denis Villeneuve has come out publicly saying that if he was able to make the next one, Zendaya would be the star of that one, and fans were a little disappointed that she's in about 7 minutes of a 2 hour and 35-minute movie. But the announcement of the sequel has brought about some really wonderful memes of asking what the sequel should be called, either Too Dune, Too Furious. It's actually brought about some wonderful positivity for a film that could be an Oscar contender this year.
Yes, no, it's great news for Warner Brothers. This is their biggest theatrical debut during the pandemic since they have announced their day-and-date strategy, which was controversial. But since you mentioned the memes, I have to give a shout out to my girl Wendy Williams, who was subject of one of the best Dune memes, How You Dune. I loved it. It was so funny.
Switching it up again, we go to Nicole Ari Parker, spoke to one of our colleagues at Variety, Mark Malkin, about the upcoming Sex and the City sequel television series that's going to be coming to HBO Max that will bring about some diversity, not just in the characters that are going to be on the show, but also tackling racial issues. Big omission in the Sex and the City universe. Didn't have a lot of color to it, and this upcoming sequel series is looking to address that. It's very needed. Thank you for that. It brings about some excitement. What are they actually going to talk about? What are they going to tackle on the show? I'm interested in that.
Yeah, and I loved this interview that Mark did because Nicole Ari Parker, she did say that, you know, the original, obviously, as you said, was very, very white, and that needs to be addressed, but also it was a show that did pave the way for strong female characters who could be career women, independent, could own their sexuality. So I hope that it takes into account all facets of diversity. I cannot wait for that as a big Sex and the City fan. But moving on to another female story, Katie Couric has released her newest book. It's called Going There, and she really does go there. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you've probably read some of the leaked excerpts, which have generated a lot of controversy. Katie Couric said things about Deborah Norville, Diane Sawyer. A lot of heat has been surrounding the book, quite frankly. Now, I have just started to read it, so I have not read the entire thing. But what I am really hoping that we get from this book is some more context that shows how competitive the industry was for women, how women were pit against each other, because right now, a lot of the narrative around what Katie Couric has written is just based on small things that have leaked, and people have been saying this is doing the opposite of supporting women. And I agree, what's been out there is. So I really hope that the full picture is basically saying that as one of the most successful female broadcasters, I was pit against others, and this can't happen any longer.
I feel like that tends to be a trend in a lot of underrepresented spaces and voices that enter them. Once a few enter that space, they're made to compete against one another instead of coming together and supporting one another. So hopefully this will create a trend that we can see in this industry for anyone that gets the opportunity to walk through a door like the one that Katie Couric has, and hopefully support the other women and underrepresented voices that occupy that space.
Yes, I mean, female mentorship is key. It is integral in any industry, certainly in a competitive one like entertainment. And I just want to say, if a man wrote this book, I don't think it would be getting the same amount of negative attention. But I also have to say, this reminded me of The Morning Show, which is one of my favorite shows, and season 2 is currently airing. It's technically not the Katie Couric, Matt Lauer story, but kind of is.
We can air quote it. It's fine.
It kind of is. So I think we are out of time, you guys. But as always, we will be here next Friday with a brand new episode of The Tape.
Thanks for watching.